I don't know if I go as far as say smoking them, but I caught the right one.
Well,
I caught one, but it was the right one.
If you're going to catch the right one in a particular tournament, the one tournament of the entire season
where the right one matters.
That would be.
Hey, well, I guess I did smoke them in the first round at Katy.
Yeah, you got a free pass.
Yeah.
To get the opportunity
I won
catch.
the first round by almost 8 pounds. So.
80?
8.
Oh, I thought you said 80. I was like, I know you won the first round, but I didn't know what the weight difference was. So obviously, congrats to Smoke. I'm already seeing a bunch on here.
Thank you, guys.
The title of the show tonight is a $100,000 bass. So for those that are living in a dark hole in the bass tournament world and did not see, Thrift won the Big Bass Award at Heavy Hitters, which is the overall, right?
Yeah, well, on championship day. So Heavy Hitters.
Only championship day does it pay
100. So
okay.
So
explain
the way
this.
Heavy Hitters works is we have 2 groups. The first 2 qualifying days, Group A and Group B, and the heaviest single bass for your 2 qualifying days is 25 grand.
Okay.
So then you qualify for the knockout round or elimination round, and the heaviest bass that day is 50 grand. I think Randy Howe won that.
Okay, so each round, the Big Bass Award goes up.
And it goes up.
By gosh, you really did catch it on the right day.
Yeah, I did.
Gosh.
I did.
See, I thought that was like overall. So was that the overall biggest of the tournament?
Dakota Ebear caught a 9.6 also.
What did that bass win for him?
25,000.
So, okay, so his 9.6.
So it's not an overall. It depends on which tournament.
It's not an overall. It's just a daily. It just goes up, though, through each round.
Yeah.
Got you. Okay, so I was unaware of that.
It doubles each round.
So
I touched the winning fish on top of the head and lost $100,000.
I remember you talking about that.
And got a little redemption and got my 100 grand back from Bussy.
It's funny how things work out. Sometimes just have a little faith and keep a positive attitude. I'm a believer. I tell you, things happen for a reason, and you know that leads me to talk about something here in a minute. But we got several updates that we need to talk about. Obviously, the Heavy Hitters event. We talked a little bit about the $100,000 bass that Brian caught. We've had a couple bass tournaments, South Carolina back to back.
Busy spring.
What's that?
I said it's been a busy spring.
It has. So we're 4 tournaments plus the Classic Deep. So I've run 5 events this year. How many events have you run so far this year?
We have had. This was my 5th one. So we've had 3 regular season Bass Pro events and then Red Crest and.
Yeah. So between Brian and I, we've run 10 events total already, and it's barely May.
February.
Yeah, it's barely May, which I don't mind that. I mean, springtime fishing is always good.
Oh, I agree.
And obviously, it's been very, very good to Mr. Smoke over here. So, yeah, let's dive right into to Heavy Hitters first, because you talked about little redemption, talked about the $100,000 bass. You told everybody kind of why you got paid out the 100 grand, because it was on championship day.
Right.
Talk about the series of the lakes that you fished, because y'all jumped lakes.
Yeah.
And tell them what you told me about, because you know everybody sees the giant bass being caught, but they don't realize, like, and I'm gonna tell you this about Murray too. Right.
It's not easy.
Right. So tell everybody kind of what y'all were dealing with, the conditions and the spawning phase and stuff too.
Yeah. So the 2 lakes we fished were Caney Lake. That's where we had the first round and the elimination round. And of course the championship round was on Bussy Break. And they're fairly small lakes. We were post spawn. There may have been a few fish. I think I went back and watched some live after event. Maybe a few guys caught a better or 2 at Caney. But they're very small. So Caney's only 5,000 acres. Bussy Break's only 2,200 acres. But I really like Caney, and Matt will appreciate this because it reminds me a lot of Moss Lake with a little bit of grass in it. It's almost identical. No current flow. It fishes like a giant farm pond.
Yeah, you told me that's the one that's only about 5,000 acres.
Yeah,
right?
it's only like 5,000 acres, and it just gets a tremendous amount of pressure. Like our second day of practice was on a Saturday, and it was gorgeous. It was, you know, in the mid to upper 70s, no wind, and I wouldn't think I was overestimating. There was probably 250 boats on that little lake. That's practice. I mean, literally every point that had a little bit of grass on it, there was 12 to 15 boats huddled up, throwing at it in a circle. There were boats lined up down the banks. It was unlike anything I'd ever saw before. And that's actually a big part of the reason that I found the fish I found on Caney and ended up winning my qualifying round was because I took note of where everybody was, and there was one little small section of the lake that nobody was fishing. Like there wasn't a single boat for like a half a mile.
It's the only place you could go.
And I'm like, man, if I can find something over there that's not getting fished for, I can do really good. So, of course, I go over there and fire up the trusty Humminbird and start side scanning around. And I ended up finding 2 kind of isolated patches of grass that were way out off the bank in like 8 foot of water. And luckily, nobody else found them. And that's what carried me through. I ended up catching all my fish but 2 out of those 2 grass patches. I think the first morning I caught 5 for 27 out of them in the first hour and a half, and it kind of slowed down. I wasn't getting but 5 or 6 bites a day, but it seemed like they were all between 5 and 7 pounds.
How were you catching them out of that grass?
So out of the grass, I was catching them mainly on a 1/2 ounce jackhammer. Clearwater shad. I was throwing a 5-inch Pro Blue Demiki Armor shad on the back of it. The water is relatively clear. Like I could see that chatterbait probably 3 feet. So,
oh, wow.
So it's pretty clear by chatterbait standards. But that grass, I think it was kind of maybe a tail end of an early morning shad spawn. Like low light. Like we didn't start fishing until 8 o'clock, so we totally missed the daylight bite on the shad spawn. But maybe a few fish that were just hanging around after a shad spawn, I was able to get them going on that chatterbait. And then I also caught a few winding a speed worm around like Florida style, just swimming a speed worm underneath the water. I ended up catching a 7.5 pounder. Was my last fish the second day I caught on that speed worm that kind of helped get me over the hump and get me a little wiggle room. Go straight to the championship round, but that was my main 2 tactics, throwing that chatterbait, and then outside of 2 or 3 I caught on a speed worm.
So when you have, and y'all, any questions you got for Brian and the way that those, Chuck Fish, there we go, we got a question right away. Just know if you trim the tail on your armor shad.
No, I don't trim the tail on it, but I do trim the head portion of it. So what I like to do is I'll put it up beside the chatterbait, whatever chatterbait I'm throwing, whether it's the big blade or the jackhammer, and I want it just to maybe 2.5 or 3 inches longer than the skirt. So I'll cut about a 1/4 to a 1/2 inch off the head section of it, where I still get all the action out of that tail, but it makes the trailer fit up a little better with the skirt size.
All right. What's up, Tim, Daniel, David, Michael? Good evening, everybody. Appreciate y'all tuning in. We have had a good few weeks, and Brian's giving a little wrap up. Talked about his I guess you call it semifinal, really the qualifying rounds.
Yeah, the qualifying.
But he didn't really have to fish the semifinal.
I got to jump right over
so
that.
when you do that, I was going to ask, when you make it all the way to championship from the qualifying, how many days off do you get total?
So me being in Group A, I got 2 days off between my qualifying round and the championship round. Now,
What'd you do those 2?
Well, I sold my boat. I rigged some tackle.
You didn't need a boat? Oh, you were using their boat for
so this worked out perfect because my buddy down there, he was buying my old boat, so I was able to pull my old boat down there and practice out of it. And then as soon as we finished practice, I was able to sell it to him. So it worked out
perfect. Perfect. So you sold your boat, you worked on tackle. Did you go play golf or pickleball or go turkey hunting or anything like that?
No, we went. I went with my buddy to another lake, Bartholomew Bayou, I think, or something.
Bartholomew Bayou.
I think that's the name of it. I don't know, but we went out and looked around for an hour or 2 just so I could show him all the ins and outs of that.
Oh, you took him out on your new boat.
Show him how that touch screen and everything works, how to control the live wells, and get him dialed in on the Humminbird graphs and all that. So he just kind of gave him a couple-hour crash course on that one day. And
oh, Christopher, I can answer that. You have fish semi if you want. You got the free pass, and
yes, you could. We had the option.
Oh, but you had to forfeit the free pass, right?
Right.
Okay.
Yeah,
So, but you're forfeiting. So, to Christopher's point, he said, ever consider it since the fish and since you catch a big bass, he was guaranteed a spot against only 10 guys to fish for a bass that's worth $100,000.
Yeah.
So
well,
that's
actually you're fishing for 200,000. So
first place too.
Right. Yeah.
Okay. So that's kind of a no-brainer.
I did not take a chance on a maybe 50 grand.
Yeah.
Versus I'd
that's
rather
against
have a
more
maybe
guys
200
too, right?
grand. Yeah, it'd have been
20.
14 guys.
14 guys.
And the top 8
Okay.
would have made the top 10.
Yeah.
And I was so done with Caney. Dude, I didn't even practice the last day. They gave us 3 days of practice, And after being on Caney for 2 days, I was like, man, I'm done. I'm rigging tackle the last day. I can't take no more of this.
Mike Harris wants to know, is it detrimental to lose touch with the fish being off for 2 days? Well, Mike, in his case, he was not going to the same lake.
Yeah, we were
again,
going
so.
to a different lake. And Bussey's only 2,200 acres, and it's a dirty water lake, like a lot of bushes and flipping. I mean, who's to say if I had went over there and practiced, I might have figured out that deal Alton was doing, which, my hat's off to Alton. Like, he smoked the whole field.
Yeah, so and on top of this question, answer how Alton was able to catch such a big bag versus everyone else, because Jeff Davis asked that question.
It's funny, because where Alton caught them, I actually started the championship round there throwing a frog on those cypress trees, and they wouldn't come up and bite topwater. But I was still in search mode.
Right.
Like, I'm thinking I'm going to cover water, see if I can get a bite or two, and then try to get
how
dialed
did he
in on
catch
something. Alton ended up catching them all on spinnerbait.
Okay.
But I was skipping that frog up to the cypress trees, and I couldn't get them to come up and bite top. But they weren't showing themselves. I wasn't seeing shad flipping on the trees like the shad
Could
were
you not
spawning.
see them fish on your forward-facing sonar on them trees? Because usually you can see them on them trees.
Well, that's the thing. So we're not in our boat. So we've got little bitty 7-inch Lowrances with that
Active
Lowrance
target.
deal. And
and Alton is a Lowrance guy. No, he's Garmin, isn't he?
I don't know.
I think
but
he's
I
Garmin.
could stick my head under the water and see more than that thing could see.
Well, they must not know how to set them up right. I mean, I've got an active target too. I can see
I don't know.
See 'em at
I did not care
90
for
feet.
it.
Well, you're not used to it either. But I don't know what they have on them boats and how they're set up
going
either.
from a 12-inch screen down to a
that's not-
7-inch screen,
that's
like
not-
you can't. Everything's so distorted in the size. Which I use the forward-facing sonar, but I don't use it to target fish, if that makes sense.
But if
like,
you-
I
if
use
you'd
it
have
more
known-
to target structure.
But if you'd have known, that's how the Santee Cooper event was won.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So
no, I watched
if you'd have known that those fish were there and could have seen them, though, you might could have
Yeah, I
made an
might would've
adjustment to where you could.
cycled through more baits,
Right,
through the
yeah,
big
yeah,
bladed
yeah.
chatterbait, through a spinnerbait, or
But
something like that.
and there again, even with my because I was using my active target quite a bit at Santee, not on trees, but on different types of grass, and even still on a tree, and the way the root systems run on some of
Right.
those things, the suckers are good at hiding sometimes
they
too.
are.
Until they actually make a move, you may or may not even see that they're there. It just depends on how they set up. But that's interesting. That a simple change. We talk about that all the time. Having a simple change in presentation can change your whole day. But yeah, so I think Keith Wood. I haven't been able. We haven't had a day off. Like
Steve said, it was a 9-inch graph. I don't know. All I know is it was little compared to a 12-inch.
who said that? Oh, okay. They're 9 inches.
And I know I couldn't see anything with it.
To Brian's point, when you get used to 12s and 14s
Which I
and
like
16s,
that. So I'm not at all knocking the equipment we had, because that's one thing that I love about that event is everybody's got the same equipment. We've all got the same graph set up, same size boat, same size motors. It's as equal a playing field as it can be. I mean, the only advantage would be kind of like what Matt said. The guys that are with Lowrance and familiar with Lowrance products would be a little more familiar with how things look and how their active
even
target
still, that
looks.
9-inch screen would drive anybody crazy that's been used to a 12.
Right,
Like,
yeah. And that's probably what I should have done, because I tried to dial my range out to 120 feet like I do with the Humminbird Mega Live.
Yeah.
And I should have known, like, hey, you've got...
Dial it in to about 60.
Yeah, you've got 25% less screen. You probably need to dial it down to about 60.
Especially when you're just trying to look at individual cypress trees, too,
Right.
sometimes. But,
like that morning when I was throwing that frog, like I breezed through there for 10 minutes because I'm in search mode.
Right,
Like,
you're just trying to find a bite.
I'm trying to cover water, find active fish, and I just totally fished over top of them. But that's part of fishing. I mean, you can't ever figure it out. Like, if we all knew how many times that we practiced in areas of a lake and never caught anything, and then that's where the tournament's won, that happens all the time to us.
And a lot of times, and this happened at Santee, and I'll run through Murray real quick first off, but congrats to Alton Jr. Congrats to Thrift on the big bass.
That was absolutely impressive.
How much did he win by? I heard it was a landslide, but
Oh yeah, like I haven't added it up, but I think he had more weight by himself than the other 9 of us did combined.
wow.
Like, it was pretty impressive.
So I knew he
Yeah.
won, but I didn't know. I knew he won by a lot because somebody had told me.
I don't know for sure if that's not true. The
59
other 9 of
pounds,
us wouldn't
60
have beat him by much.
Okay, Keith Wood was saying, Mike, they're all saying 60-plus pounds.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I think Dakota was second with like 20 couple pounds.
Is that the largest margin of victory ever?
I'm not sure. I don't think so. It probably is in heavy hitters, but I'm sure some of our other other events when we had the every fish count, some guys won by 100 and something pounds.
JG Outdoors said he had 82 and second had like 22 or so.
Yeah, it was impressive, and what was more impressive is like he was just scoring at will. Like I went back and watched some of the live, and he'd like catch a couple, and then he'd retie and play around, and he's like, "All right, I'm gonna catch a couple."
He was
more.
just dialed. He was just straight
like
up dialed.
he was dead locked in on them. It was impressive, and I really enjoyed going back and watching the live and seeing
he's
it all.
but knowing the score and knowing that he's running away with it probably allowed him to slow down a little bit too.
Yeah, that's true. And like I could see him over there. I could see where he was, and he's right there on the bank. I threw the frog on. He had a couple boats around him. I was probably a mile from him, 3/4 of a mile from him, but I could see him over there. It was pretty fun.
Doug wants to know if the boats that y'all fish out of are assigned to you. I mean, they're all the same.
Yes, yeah, they're all. So there's 3 different brands. We have Nitro, Phoenix, and Bass Cat, and they put anglers based on. They try to put you in what brand you're affiliated with, and me being with Ranger, White River Marine, the closest thing to that was a Nitro, so I was putting a Nitro, and it was a good fishing boat. That 19-foot Z19, I guess it was. That's a good fishing boat. Got a lot of room. I carry a lot of tackle, and it held.
Are they all equipped with ghosts?
So they're half and half. I think half of them had Ghost, half of them had the new Power Pole Move.
Oh, I had the new moves on
Yeah.
there. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Very cool. Did you get to run a move?
No, I was in a Ghost.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm just going to get your opinion on it. I have
Now,
not
I have
personally
been
got
in
to
the
driven
boat
one yet.
with Luke Clausen. He's got one, and it's a good trolling motor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've heard very impressed, which Power Pole's a great company. They usually, when they launch something, they usually have done their due diligence, and they've really put them through the ringer before they put something out as far as products are concerned.
Right.
Mike Harris said this is the last year for Bass Cats in the cups and such. So
Huh.
That's interesting. Must be a
That is
sponsorship
interesting, Mike.
change coming down the pipe for that. But Scott said you can afford a iPhone tutorial now, probably.
Oh, it's working tonight.
He hadn't touched or broken anything.
It's
yet.
not that I don't know how to work it. I just don't know how to
Say-
fix it when I tear it up. That's
yeah,
the
y'all
trouble.
don't forget, by the way, I didn't announce at the beginning of the show. Y'all know our show is presented by English Choice Marine, who has locations in Spindale, North Carolina, Lexington, North Carolina, and Martinsville, Virginia. And they are actually sponsoring the trivia giveaway along with another gift card from smoke sponsor Blackfish Gear, $50 gift card tonight for the giveaway, along with one of the heavy-duty English Choice weigh bags and a hat from English Choice Marine. So a package valued at $100 or so for the trivia giveaway at the end of the show tonight. So y'all stay tuned for that. And we got a good question for that, too. So, all right. Well, anything to add for heavy hitters?
I mean, that's about it. So I guess I could break down how I caught my one scoreable pass that was worth $100,000. I hadn't really got into that.
Oh, how you caught it?
Yeah.
Now, in the championship round, of course, I know you didn't have more than 22 pounds because that was second place. What was your total weight?
I had one bass for 9.6.
That was the only bass you caught in
That
the
was the
championship
only
round.
scoreable bass I caught.
Mercy. I thought you might have caught 2 or 3, but
Well, I did. That was the only one that counted.
what was the scoreable in that?
Had to be 3 pounds or bigger.
Okay. Big Fish Lake.
Yeah, Big Fish Lake, heavy hitters, big fish count.
Got you.
So I'm breezing around throwing the frog and stuff, not getting any
I ain't
bites.
had a bite all day hardly.
Well, I only did that for about an hour. Threw the big blade chatterbait for about 30 minutes, and I knew it was a flipping lake because that's how I caught them the year before when we were there for our Stage 1 Bass Pro Tour event. So I'm like, all right, I'm just going to go flipping, and we might not catch many, but maybe we'll have a chance at a big one. So I start flipping, and I'm flipping these like green willows that are up in like 4 or 5 feet of water, and like just beautiful, like pretty willows, got green leaves all over them, lots of shade. What you would love to flip any time of the year. You know what I'm talking about?
Mm-hmm.
So I flip them, and I'm flipping them for like 4 hours, and I catch a non-scoreable, and then I'm flipping one, and I catch one that was like 214 that didn't count. And it's
At least
like,
you're getting a couple bites.
but this is like 3 hours worth of doing it. Hadn't caught a scoreable yet. And like, I'm just flipping this beautiful stuff. I'm like, oh my God, how am I not catching something? You know, I can't even get a bluegill to peck on it. So then there's a lot of like old dead timber out in like 8, 9, 10 feet of water. Like, I'm going to go out there and flip some of that stuff, because everybody I'm seeing is up in these bushes. Now, they're catching fish, albeit I'm not, but they are. But I'm getting tired of doing it. I'm not getting bit. I don't know if I'm fishing behind people or just I suck at flipping, which I already know that. So I go out in this deeper timber and start flipping. And like the third tree I flip in, one stomps it and I pin him. Like, he's on the bottom in like 9 feet of water in this tree. And as soon as it hits the bottom, I lift it up to hop it and boom, I bow up on him. And like, I don't know how big he was. He's just, I can feel him just down there thrashing. And he thrashes for like 2 or 3 seconds and comes off. I'm like, oh my God, that was probably a giant. So I'm a little mad. I get my stuff in, I fix my bait up. Like three trees later, pitching the top of that dead tree, it goes to the bottom, boom, I set the hook, get this one to the top. And once I get him to the top, I'm thinking, all right, we got him, the hard part's out of the way. We got him out of the tree. But then I start thinking about last year, how I touched that one on top of the head and lost him. And that's kind of running through my mind a little bit. And I'm debating on whether or not on a boat flip him. Like, I know it's a big one. It's like an 8 or 9 pounder, but I don't really want to boat flip it, but I don't want to lose him beside the boat like I did last year. But everything worked out. We played him up beside the boat and caught him. He weighed 9.6. And at this point, I'm thinking I'm on a pattern. Like, I've got a chance to run down out, and I've been doing this for 20 minutes. I've got 2 giant bites in 20 minutes, and I'm feeling good. So I do that the rest of the day and never get another bite.
Yeah, but at that point, you're like, it's all good.
Well, no.
Of course, you're thinking it's not safe on that lake.
Oh, yeah. I was
so.
saying there's no way, like, based on what happened last year, Randy Howell caught that one that was like 12, 14, almost 13 pounds. And all the practice reports, Kevin Van Dam went and practiced and caught 2 over 10. I think Connell caught 1 over 10 at Bussy that week in practice. And I knew big fish were biting. I think what kind of threw us off on the getting that big bite was it was kind of cloudy, nasty, windy weather. Like, it wasn't a prime flipping day for a fish to be down in a bush a little bit deeper. And I think that's why Alton really got that spinnerbait bite dialed in so good. But
JG Outdoors, I think I can answer that. Brian, correct me if I'm wrong. The 5-minute penalty was because it was intentional, right?
Yeah, it wasn't intentional, but it appeared that way because it was bigger.
You flipped a 7-pounder and it hit the floor. That was 100%.
No, let me explain.
Okay. All right. Listen, Judge.
No, I agree with him. Like, he made the right call. It was definitely a flagrant penalty.
Because it was flagrant, JG.
Yeah, that's what. So we have the 2-minute penalty, which is like you flip it in there.
And it touches the deck.
Yeah, it touches the deck or something like that. Like, you try to keep it from touching the deck. And a flagrant penalty is when you just boat flip it and set it on the carpet like I don't care, I got you. And that was not my intentions, but that's the way it worked out. And I say that because I didn't know the fish was that big when I was fighting it. It come up and I was thinking it was a 5.5 pounder. And my official he just made the comment. He gave me a score tracker update. He said, Brian, I think whoever it was, Alton Jones is in the lead. He's got you by 4.5 pounds. And like, as soon as he said 4.5 pounds, the rod loads up and I set the hook on. So I'm starting bumming myself. Oh, we about to do that right here. And I'm thinking it's like a 5.5 pounder. And the water was kind of murky a little bit, as overcast. Well, I get him close to the boat, and I'd already made my mind up I was going to boat flip him. And once you make up your mind, there's no going back. Like, if you drop back and like, no, I'm going to grab him, that's when a fish comes off.
Yeah, then you
can screw it up. I'd already made my mind up. I'm boat flipping this fish. And when I get it out of the water, about the time it gets ready to clear the gunnel and gets all the way out of the water, I'm like, man, that's pretty heavy.
I know what's going through your mind.
Yeah, like, I'm like, oh
then
my
at that
God,
point,
that
when you
thing's
get
heavy.
a fish like that in the boat and you try to keep it off the carpet, you're just going to snap your rod.
Right.
100%.
Right. So when I went to boat flip it, instead of it clearing the gunnel by 3 feet where I could grab the line, it was a little bit bigger than I thought.
I'd like to see you grab the line.
Well, I try. If you go back and watch it after it hit, but it's already hit the carpet when I try to grab the line because I didn't get it up in the air high enough because it's a lot bigger than I thought it was. Exactly. But yeah, Dan definitely made the right call. It was definitely a flagrant penalty. So I got to sit down and collect my thoughts for 5 minutes, but I feel like it was worth it. I feel like everything worked out.
All right. So they want to know. Daniel Jones wants to know one last question here about the final day you're set up for flipping the trees.
Oh, so my tree setup, I was using the 7.6 heavy action Fitzgerald Hydrilla grass flipping rod. So this is a rod that's been in the Fitzgerald lineup forever. Like
it's called a Hydrilla grass flipping rod?
It's called a Hydrilla / grass flipping rod. It's a 7.6 heavy action, but it's so well balanced. It's got a little bit longer butt section where with your reel on it, it just feels balanced in your hand where you can flip all day pretty effortlessly. And I was using the 25-pound P-line fluorocarbon, the 100% fluorocarbon. I like it better than the tactical when I'm flipping because it has less stretch, and it's a little bit stiffer, has less stretch, and to me, I think it's a little more abrasion resistant in that heavy cover. So I was throwing that 100% P-line fluorocarbon and using a Fitzgerald VLD 10 reel, and it was a 8.2 gear ratio. It's 8.1 or 8.2 gear ratio reel. And I was actually flipping a 3/4 ounce weight. Once I got out in those deeper trees, I wanted that bait to fall a little bit faster, and I wanted it to go through all the limbs. So when you're flipping deeper trees like that, if you drop down to like a 3/8 or something 5/16 weight, it takes that bait too long to fall through all those limbs because it'll hit a limb and it'll stop, and then it'll slide off of it and fall on to the next one. So it might take that bait 3 or 4 seconds to get to the bottom, and with that 3/4 or 1 ounce weight, it can get in there and go straight to the bottom a little faster and get that reaction strike. So I was flipping a 3/4 ounce weight with a punch skirt and just a little flipping bait using a 5/0 hook. I think the hook I was using was the Honor Jungle Hook 5/0 flipping hook, and that was my flipping setup.
All right, I got a couple questions already about the Santee tournament. I'll jump into those Santee questions here in just a minute, but I want to do a Lake Murray rundown real quick. Y'all
are 2 events since our last show.
Yeah, we got down there. I don't know what, 2 weeks after y'all were there, a week or 2 after y'all. I don't know, a week and a half, something like that. Lake had been getting beat on pretty good since the BPT had showcased it so well.
Yeah.
The locals, I was out there the first day of our practice, which was a Monday, and I couldn't believe how many locals were out there on a Monday.
It was our last day of our tournament. Like, I couldn't even get on 3 or 4 of my best places.
Well, and to be honest with you, yeah, it was like that on a Saturday of ours. And the first couple of days, I say locals. I honestly don't think it was
it's
locals
just people
as much
fishing.
as just people coming into town. Well, at our event, I think there was a lot of out-of-towners that had watched y'all's tournament and thinking, hey, called his buddy Billy and said, we need to go down there and get in on some of this.
Yeah.
Well, a lot of them, unfortunately, not to be mean, but they had a rude awakening because them suckers ended up being really hard to catch. It's not like you can just show up and just go out there and whack them.
Right.
And
the more they get fished for, the harder they get.
Correct. Fished. And by the time we got there, they were quite fickle. And luckily, one thing I've learned about Murray is it very different. Kind of goes off in sections, kind of like Norman does. I got there and I noticed the water temp on kind of the south side of the lake, especially Shoal Island area down, was quite a bit lower than certain areas on the north side and things like that. And I had noticed the fish were really in not a completely different stage, but they were a lot further behind than certain areas. You go to certain areas on the north end and you'd see, fry every 20 feet, fry on every dock, fry on the gator, and then you go other areas, you wouldn't see any fry. You'd see new fish pulling up, things like that. Right. So we had our, and I didn't really know that until I got down there and started kind of bouncing around and looking. But we kind of had our pick of the litter, kind of like y'all did as far as you wanted to fish, Did you want to sight fish the whole tournament? You could. Did you want to mix in herring fish? You could. Did you want to do some dock fishing? You could do that.
That's the good thing about Murray. It always gives you a lot of options.
It is. The only thing that didn't play for us, which I think it was going off a little bit when y'all were there, but the river bite was really kind of just off when we were there.
It was for us, too.
It was. So did anybody in y'all's event do good in the river?
Just me.
So you fished the river? When I say the river, all right,
let me set this up.
Past the split?
No.
Okay.
So I call everything from Drury Island.
Okay,
up the
all
river.
right. So Drury Island to me is mid-lake.
Yeah.
Maybe Drury to Hollow, mid-lake.
Yeah.
And then I'm kind of like you. Like once you go above Drury, I'm just going to say like a mile.
Yeah, that's
Call it a
river.
river. Yeah,
Yeah.
because it does fish a lot different. So, when did all the river fish spawn? That's what I want to know.
So they were doing it pretty good when we were there.
Okay.
When we were there.
Just the water wasn't as clear and there weren't near as many big
Right.
ones, probably.
Right.
Okay.
Like,
So
yeah, so what I saw was a lot of 2 to 3 pounders when I got above
Okay.
there, and that kind of stained, like it wasn't really stained, it just kind of had a brown tint to it when we were there.
little tannic looking or
Yeah,
something.
like almost tannic looking, but like maybe a little bit of algae in the water or something. But it wasn't as easy to get a bite up there as it was from Drury Island down.
Okay, got you.
But I
Gotcha.
got fortunate, and I actually found 2 good herring points up there that I caught most of my weight on.
Well, that's good. And that weren't getting the.
Yeah, like they weren't getting any attention. Well,
Right.
and I say I was the only one. I know Nick LeBrun, he done very well through the first 2 rounds, and he was fishing up that way also. I saw him up there. And I'm sure some other guys were up there as well, but myself and Nick were the only 2 that I know that had pretty decent tournaments up there.
So it was interesting in our event. If you look at the top 20, well, top 10 for sure, but top probably 30 in the tournament, it was basically there was a little bit bouncing around the Drury Island, Hollow Creek area, but the majority of it was Shoal Island down.
Tip down the dam.
Yeah, and a lot of the sight fishing that was taking place, including a lot of the ones I ended up catching off the bed, which I kind of had a 1-2 deal in my head anyway. I was going to do some sight fishing, and I was going to pluck as many point fish as I could too.
Right. Which that's a perfect game plan for Murray that time of year.
Yeah, I mean it's fishing can. You know, you got to be very patient on those points. You can either kind of camp out on one where you know big ones are and try to figure out how to make them bite, or wait till they come up schooling or whatever. Right. Or you can say a prayer and build you a milk run and just hope, hope to God you can get on them at the right time.
Yeah.
So
I got a question for you. So you got big bass at Murray, correct?
I did for the whole overall.
Herring fish or bedfish?
It was a point fish.
Oh, it was a herring fish.
Nice. And I got really lucky.
So we just got a comment. We keep losing audio. We say it's good on our end.
Yeah, that's just one person. So if GGW says he's losing audio, if anybody else is having audio issues,
let us know.
It went for 1 second, but it came right back.
Okay, Tyler, you do that again.
So
You're
you
fired.
did lose audio.
It went for 1 second.
All right.
Like one word.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Mike Harris said there's an audio issue. Brandy Gibson said it's going in and out. Do we need to call somebody that knows what they're doing?
Now we got lost audio.
I ain't lost nothing since that 1 second.
Nuke said he's
Something's
lost
going on.
audio. Happened 3 times so far. Scott Azell
Thank y'all
said we're
for all the
losing audio.
comments.
Yep.
Fix it, Tyler.
Where's Jeff?
Listening to it on YouTube right now.
Where's
Ain't
Jeff?
missed. Ain't missed.
Now Daryl says it's back now.
Okay.
All right, let us know if we have any more troubles. I can't do nothing. I don't think Matt can. We'll try to find somebody.
All right,
else.
everybody said it's working good now. So do us another little favor, y'all, and tell us what you missed.
Yeah.
Not that you know, but David Craig said had a little glitch.
We were talking about your big bass that you said
Oh
was
yeah,
a
yeah,
point
yeah.
fish.
So we were fortunate to grab big bass at the event at Murray, and Thrift had asked if it was a herring fish or / point fish. Or was it a sight fish? And it was actually it was a herring fish. Came on topwater bait.
That's awesome. I watched the video you put up. I think you put it on Instagram.
Yeah, and what you can't see, unfortunately, you can't see the bait.
Right.
I wish you could, because that's how lucky I am. You know how them herring fish are.
Oh, yeah.
You pull up on a point, there might be 10 of them, there might be 100 of them. Well,
Right.
there was probably 40 on this one. Average school, right?
Right.
For a point. And I fire up there. A couple had blown up, and I fire it up there, and I was throwing a big pencil popper type bait, and you can cast them a mile.
Oh,
and
yeah.
you always have one.
And you
hanging
don't know
off
if
the
you're
deck.
going to catch a 12-incher or a
100%.
7-11.
So to your point, I'm just guesstimating 2.5 pounds blows it out of the water. It lands, and another one jumps over it, and then a 7.
That's beautiful,
The
right
big
there.
one choked it.
That is beautiful.
And when it jumped, I knew it was big because it
Yeah.
got it through all kinds of water, but I didn't see it good.
Yeah.
And the closer it got to the boat, I realized, because this thing was post-spawn now.
Oh, yeah.
And
So it's like this long.
It was skinny, dude. It was like 27 inches long.
Yeah.
And I'm looking at it going, dude, this might be like a 10-pounder.
Yeah.
And anyway, I get it in the boat, and I told my marshal after that, I went back to fishing, and I said, you know what? I said, I fished 50 points this week on this lake, and I guarantee you that's probably in the top 5 of the biggest, and I've seen 1,000 bass this week.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I'm talking about.
Right.
And that's probably in the top 5 of the biggest bass on any of these points right now. And I
Yeah.
said, I guarantee it was the biggest one sitting on that point.
Yeah, oh, yeah.
And I actually caught it, and I said, to be that lucky, there again, timing, big deal. Sometimes it just happens. Sometimes things work out in your favor. Sometimes they don't. But to go on, I ended up with 55 pounds in that tournament and finished 25th. I got to say this. So, we have a 6-inch largemouth bass that's mounted on a plaque. It's kind of a joke that Scott Martin had.
Oh, really? I didn't know about
Scott
that.
Martin had it in his office down
Right.
at his house. Well, whoever wins the house, Scott Martin, Canterbury, and myself, y'all don't know, we room together. Whoever wins the house for that tournament gets to carry that around on their dash in their truck till the next one.
Oh, nice.
So
That's pretty good little incentive.
so,
to-
and this was Hollywood's idea, right? So
Yeah.
we're down there at his house at Okeechobee this year, and he's like, this is going to be the trophy this year. Whoever wins it gets carried around on the dash of their truck. That's cool, something for his YouTube channel,
Right,
something
yeah.
fun, just something fun to do, little picking, things like that. So we the first tournament, Canterbury came back and took it,
Took it from Scott, yeah.
took it from Scott. Scott was leading it and kind of faltered there towards the end. And then we went to Seminole. Then I took it from Canterbury. And then we went to the Classic. Canterbury took it from Scott and I. Then we went to Murray, and I took it from Canterbury and Scott. But Scott and I tied in weight.
At
So
Murray?
55 pounds even.
Oh, my God. I didn't know that. Y'all
But
tied?
because of the biggest bags, the tiebreaker. So it put me in 25th and him in 26th. Well, he ain't won the bass yet this year.
Oh, God.
And we get back to the house, and and I walk in, I kid you not, and he goes, I think I should get it. I just think I should get it. I said, we tied. I said, wait a minute. I said,
On the standings, you were...
who won the house? Just answer who won the house. Finally, he had to admit it. Yeah, I won the house.
Yeah.
And so I walk out there and I take the trophy out there and I put it in the truck. We go on to Santee Cooper. Well, I'll give you a quick rundown of Santee Cooper here in a minute, but we go to Santee Cooper, and I ended up, let's see, Canterbury won the house at Santee Cooper, so Canterbury got the
So
trophy back.
Scott still
Martin
had
ain't
one.
Martin ain't got it yet. But it was in my truck from Murray, right?
Right.
So I got McCoy's filming, and I get the trophy out, and I walk over, and I
You
said,
presented it to him?
I presented it to him, but first I walked up to Hollywood, and I said, all right, I said, Hollywood, I tell you what. I said, since you beat me, because he finished, so I finished 32nd,
Yeah.
and he finished 30th at Santee. So he
So he-
beat me,
yeah.
but he didn't beat Canterbury.
Right.
So I walked over to him. I said, I tell you what, Hollywood. I said, since you beat me at this one, I'll let you rub on it a little bit. And he kind of touched it little 6-inch bass's head. I said, that's enough. That's enough. And I took it over and gave it to Canterbury. Told
That's
Canterbury,
pretty awesome
congratulations.
right
So Martin will win it eventually. He'll win it eventually. It is loose on the plaque, Jerry. He's got a little.
What is that?
And it's got. So, what in the
I didn't
world?
either.
A little rat with 4 legs just ran in here.
It's a Winnie rat.
Jeff just came in here with a dog about the size of some of my glide
There was a
baits.
snake going
Yeah.
across the floor.
Do what?
I thought it was a snake going across the floor because it was so low.
But yeah, Jerry, we got to do some. It's dry. It's been riding on our dashes all year in the hot sun. That thing's cracked and it looks
Yeah,
awful.
you need to put a little oil on it
Well,
or something.
I said it was in Scott's office. It was actually been riding around in his truck for the last 2 years.
Oh.
And we just decided it was going to be the house
Yeah.
trophy. So fast forward, Scott
You take
Hollywood.
it to somebody and let them airbrush over it and touch it up. and look
Yeah,
good.
we do need to do that. Yeah, we do. It does need to be like
Just
reattached to the
airbrush, lay
plaque.
a little clear coat on it, look brand
Yeah,
new.
it's
We know it.
Yeah, exactly.
okay. So I saw a comment from Roger. Thank you. He said he lost audio for about 3 seconds, but that was it. So. Yeah, Brandy Gibson pencil popper. It's like a big walking topwater bait. There's a bunch of companies that make them out there. but it basically, the front of it, the lips kind of cupped on the front. It throws a lot of water when it walks. It's kind of like a giant Zara spook on steroids.
Yeah.
But it
And
throws.
it's weighted rear, so you can super light
With it, yeah, it's kind of a staple on herring lakes.
Yeah.
It's good for calling fish up over cane piles and brush piles, and it's good for those big fish on those points too. So, all right, trivia question. Chuck Fish said that we could ask everybody what did we say when the audio went out.
We wouldn't know the answer.
Yeah, no, he wasn't real happy about losing that trade. Well, he never lost it, Scott, because he hadn't won it all year.
That's true. It hadn't been his all year.
So when he does win it, I'm sure he's going to give us what when he wins it. So, but yeah, I'm sure it's coming.
And the next one's in Canterbury's backyard. Isn't Canterbury pretty familiar with Lay?
Hey, he's fished there 100 times, I think.
Yeah.
So Lay, that it can be a home lake jinx, but we'll see. That's the one Martin will probably end up winning, is the one at Lay. Somewhere him and I have never been to.
Right.
But we're looking forward to that, and it's a new lake for me, so I'm always looking forward to going to a new body of water.
Yeah, that is fun.
Fast forward to Santee, we talk about Santee all the time and how it's only good for like 2 months out of the year, and we were like at the tail end of it.
Being real good.
Yeah. It was
tapering off when y'all
it was starting to go into suck mode. Yeah. Like slowly but surely.
I mean, if you look at what did it take to make the 50 cut, was it like 14 a day?
It was about 15. It was right at 14 a day.
Right.
So
Less than 14.
and
about is not fishing that good. Like you don't get a lot of bites. A lot of guys probably weren't catching but 8 or 9 fish a day.
And there's
But you
giants in the
catch
lake.
Some giants, yeah. You're going to
Well,
catch 6 or 7.
And there's always, that's what I told my marshal first. There's always that few guys that weigh 3 for 17.
Oh, yeah.
Or 4 for 18. Or, Pollock the first day.
Sound's cutting out again.
Okay, they lost audio. Jeff. Where'd Jeff go?
I don't know what's happening.
Not
Back now, but it went out.
Back now, but it went out.
Working now. All right. Be quick,
right.
Matt. Go.
Well, let's we got 15 minutes. Let's the internet. I like how Tyler says it's the internet. Internet kill audio. Internet kills
Did the
your
little
service.
dog chew
Lost audio. Just FYI. I don't know why.
twice?
Twice. What is that sound? That's that dog.
Is that your new puppy, Jeff?
He said reboot the router. It's all clear. They said it's all clear. Yeah. So Fred said Santee was on fire in March, and I'm sure it was on fire.
But even to be a little bit tougher when y'all were there, I mean, you got to look. Still, Luke Palmer almost got a century belt.
Yeah, he almost got a century belt.
Almost averaged 20. He averaged 24 pounds a day.
Yeah, and for that time of year, like
that's pretty stout.
that's really stout. But if you look at local tournaments, like into April. Especially into April, 1st of May, there's always like a couple gigantic bags.
Yeah, a couple 30s.
And then it goes,
right.
So, Santee is an interesting animal. Thrift's got a lot more experience on it than I do. But I tell you what, I tell you a couple things that I did when I got there. One thing that I noticed, I looked at water levels. Last year, Lower Lake was not a player for us because the water was so low down there.
Right.
The fish hadn't really made a move down there yet, and maybe the low water is what was delaying them. The Upper Lake just absolutely went off last year during the tournament. So what I did going into that event, I looked at the water level, and it came up drastically in the Lower Lake about a week before we got there.
Yeah.
And when I saw that, I said, you know what, this could coincide with maybe a late movement.
Right.
Some fish,
Yeah, this
some
could
fish
get the
pulling.
Lower Lake fired
It could
up.
set it off.
Right.
And there was a lot of stuff that I wanted to fish down there last year that I couldn't because the water was too low.
Mm-hmm.
And so I spent my first day of practice down there, and I got some bites. I was able to generate a couple little ideas and things like that. The second day of practice, went back to Upper Lake and didn't like what I saw. Well, number one, what I saw was just tons of boats everywhere it went, you know, which is historically going off of what happened last year.
Right.
A lot of our guys in some familiar areas and things like that. The Brickyard, Utahville, Rocks Pond, and of course, obviously the creeks on the
Waibu and Potato.
yeah, I mean, all that stuff was getting hammered. So went back to the Lower Lake the third day and was able to get on a couple different things. I was on a little bit of a tree bite, but I didn't have a lot of confidence in that last, and I didn't feel like those fish were going to replenish. I felt like a lot of those fish were fry garters, some lake spawners, things like that. So I was hoping that'd be good for one day. But during the first day of the event, I was able to get on a little deal, using my Lowrance Active Target. due to the high water, you could get in some of these pockets and bays, and there'd be some gator grass on the banks and some lily pads and things like that. But out in the middle, Blacks is a good example. And I caught a handful of fish in there, but I didn't really weigh any fish from there. But if you go into Blacks right now, you'll see some isolated pads kind of scattered out in the middle, little clumps of stuff. You'll if it's almost submerged because I was able to target. Everybody else was fishing. People were fishing the bank. People were fishing trees. People were sight fishing a few fish. And I was able to use my active target and go into certain areas, mostly on the south side. I guess that's the south side of the lake. Is from the hatchery to Blacks considered the south side of the lake.
Yeah,
so that's from Blacks to the hatchery is the areas that I fished. I know that's a lot of area, but I fished all that in between.
Yeah.
And I was able to target fish with my active target, and I actually got a lot of bites. I generated a lot of bites during the tournament doing that. Had some bad luck the first day. Had a bad day, 12 pounds something. Bounced back on the second and third day and ended up finishing 32nd in the tournament. Most of my fish were caught on a wacky rig. No secret there at Santee. But what's interesting is how the tournament was won. And congrats to Luke Palmer, who absolutely blew the event away. I think he won by 15 pounds or so. You know, what he figured out was he found fish that he could see on his forward-facing sonar, and he was able to utilize a Texas rig as opposed to a wacky worm, which is what 85% of the field was throwing on them trees. You know, there were some guys that caught them on a bladed jig in the grass and spinnerbait, but that stuff kind of petered out, and it was real inconsistent. Like, you catch a few, guys caught a few, but then they caught 2 the second day or something like that. Again, we were there at the tail end of everything, and it was getting pretty tough to find a consistent bite. But what Luke did was super, super impressive. He would pitch those trees with a Texas rig, 1/4 ounce, 5/16 ounce weight, something like that, and some type of creek. Exactly. I'm sure it was one of shaking, basically like Brian, 4 pounds a day.
Right.
You know, that is really strong this time of year. Really strong.
High five?
What, Tyler? Oh, okay. They're saying audio. So,
I don't know what's going on.
yeah,
with
guys,
the
we
audio. We're doing the
apologize.
best
We've
we
got
can.
Tyler Ward Fish, who sucks at everything, running the audio. I'm just kidding.
It's the wind blowing around. I think it's blowing the power lines or something around.
It ain't
I
even
mean, are you
blowing now.
kidding me, dude? That's your excuse? The wind's blowing
Well,
outside?
it's either that or it's because the power ain't plugged into this.
What?
They were the only 2 things.
Jeez Louise.
We're
All
doing
right.
the best we can.
Yeah, we are. It says it keeps. Actually, go ahead and wrap it up. We kind of did. We kind.
I'm sorry, Scott. I'll let him know.
They said the audio's out again, Tyler.
It's going
Well, no, it's not.
to it.
What? Yeah, we let us know, y'all. Hopefully, you can still hear us.
It's out now.
You want to go ahead and jump
It's
into
out now.
Now it's back.
Now it's back. Let's go ahead and do the giveaway while we got
Well-
somewhat of audio.
Well, we can't. We
Why?
can't because we don't have audio. Okay, they saying it's back. Let's.
All right, if audio's back, we're going to try to go ahead and do the giveaway.
We're going to go ahead and jump into our trivia giveaway because we don't want anybody to miss that. It says when it cuts in and out, it's going in and out for a couple seconds at a time. So we appreciate the update, y'all. I don't know what's going on. We might need some new wiring or something,
I
or
don't
we
know.
might just need a new tech guy.
Or some new tech.
The tinfoil antenna.
It'd probably work better.
Yeah, that's right. All right, let's. But again, congrats to Luke Palmer down there. Let's jump in our trivia question. Again, the trivia question tonight is for a Thrift's Apparel sponsor Blackfish for a $50 gift card to them, along with Angler's Choice, the presenting sponsor of the show, a heavy duty, high quality weigh-in bag, and a hat. And y'all just make sure you message the Facebook page, your shipping information. I will message you back with your code, your discount, not your discount code, your $50 gift card, along with I need your shipping information to get out the Angler's Choice bag and hat sent to the. So, and the winner. Jeff.
It's gone now. We got nothing. Legit no audio. There we go.
Don't be hitting a bunch of buttons now.
I ain't touching it. I'm getting the cameras back a little bit. All right, we're back now.
We're back now.
We're back now. Okay, it's back.
All
Here
right,
we
let's
go.
back. Go quick.
All right, we're gonna go
quick.
We're gonna go quick on our trivia question. Here's a trivia question. All right, so LTF crew, Brian and Matt, we have won 3 big fish awards this year so far on tour. Those 3 big fish, I need to know what those 3 big fish weighed total.
Combined.
I need to know the total weight of the 3 big fish awards that the LTF crew has won this year.
What's
Okay.
the answer? So I know. Don't say it. Just point.
Can you read that?
I can read that.
Okay. In pounds and ounces, y'all.
Pounds
Sorry.
and ounces.
In pounds and ounces.
So collectively, Matt and myself have won 3 big fish pots. What is the
Woo, they
total
coming
weight
through quick.
of
Pounds
the
and
3
ounces.
big fish combined?
Good Lord. Just Jerry Glenn, 284. It's a touch high. He might have been
Just a touch.
28.4, but I see. Oh.
I'm seeing some close ones.
All right. Y'all let me know if you got
So the
one.
question is, me and Matt have won 3 big fish pots this year. What is the combined weight of those 3 fish that we have won big fish pots with this year?
Ooh, they're coming fast.
They're
Well, we
coming
know
fast.
everybody heard the trivia question.
Yeah.
So
I
that's
I
good.
hope everybody's got it now.
Hot on Mosey.
I still hadn't seen the
Tyler,
correct
you know the
answer.
answer?
Yeah.
Okay. You hadn't seen a winner yet, right?
I hadn't seen one.
Tiebreaker, they accounted for how much cash? Oh.
First correct answer we see wins. A $50 Blackfish gift card and a value
This hurt my
pack.
eyes following this, y'all.
Me too. $50 from
Oh,
Angler's
oh.
Choice Marine.
Ooh, I think I've seen it on both sides.
I hadn't seen it
I
yet.
ain't seen it yet.
I've,
There's
seen,
one that's close.
I've seen 3 that's close. Oh, right. I had y'all verify it. Man, oh man. Anybody got it yet?
I got it.
You got it?
Yep, I got
okay, is it Daniel Jones?
No. What's the answer?
I got.
Oh, I see it. I saw it.
Bill?
I saw it. It was before Daniel Jones.
It was this one right here.
I can't even scroll back to it, dude.
First one.
Yep. Bill Willis. Bill Willis.
Bill Willis.
Bill Willis. You are the winner. Daniel Jones, you had it right too, but you were after Bill on our feed, on all 3 of our feeds, by the way. The answer is 25 pounds, 2 ounces.
So what are they?
Well, I like there again. I hope this is right because y'all double check the math.
Well, we've already called the winner. It doesn't matter if it's right or not.
Okay.
In our mind,
25
Bill
to
Willis is the
Bill
winner.
Willis. You are the winner. Send us a message on our Facebook page. We'll shoot you your code, your free gift card code, and along with need your shipping. Fish. So real quick, the 3 bass were 8 pounds 1 ounce,
Which was Matt at Seminole.
which is me at Seminole.
Hang on. I hope Bill Willis heard us.
Excuse me.
You're good.
We're good.
Yeah.
All right.
Bill Willis, if you heard us, make sure you comment that you heard us because we want to make sure that y'all heard us announce
Send
the
us a
winner.
message on Facebook.
Yep. But real quick, the 3 big bass where I had one at Seminole, 8 pounds 1 ounce. It took a daily big bass award. Brian had the big bass at the heavy hitters. It won $100,000 with a 9.6. I took the overall big bass in a daily at Lake Murray with a 7 pound 11 ounce. Total 25 pounds 2 ounces. If that's not right, we don't care.
That's what
Bill
we're
Willis
calling
still
right.
wins. 25-2. That's what we got. So, Bill, congratulations. Send us your information through our. He said he heard us. All right, great. Congrats, Bill. I like your profile picture. He's holding a big old buck. Did you hear me, Brian?
Do what?
I love it when I know you're not listening to me.
Well,
can say
I was
anything
trying to
want.
read these comments from academic mailbox.
All
I'm
right,
trying to
we,
figure out what that is. If that's like an AI thing that just randomly posts something.
That's interesting. Huh?
Yeah.
That is like an AI thing.
Yeah, I think it is.
Academic mailbox. That's interesting.
Yeah.
Very interesting. Cleveland County math. Cleveland County. That's right. All right. We're gonna sign off while we have audio. I'm gonna let Brian do it. So because I need to start coughing here, but appreciate everybody tuning in. And when's our next show?
It'll probably be.
It won't be next week.
It'll be toward the end of May.
Okay. All right. So we'll see y'all.
'Cause y'all got
hopefully-
Lay, and then I've got Gunners.
So hopefully in a couple weeks we'll be back
it'll
on
be
live.
a couple weeks.
And
But
that's right. And as always, appreciate everything.
thank you, guys.
Wait, he's supposed to sign us off.
I was fixing to.
Okay,
and
go
you
ahead, bro.
interrupted me. If we can't
Sorry.
go fishing, what are we going to do, Tyler?
We're gonna sit here and talk fishing.
Perfect.